Welcome, everybody, to the One to Go show presented by Dirt Track Supply. It is the dynamic duo tonight. Bert Lehman it off. So we've got Ryan Aho in the blue One to Go show shirt. You've got Pookie here with the visor and the other One to Go show shirt. So if you can, give us a thumbs up or hit the subscribe button right now, we'd appreciate that. And what's happening, brother?
I tell you what, there's a little bit of racing. There's even less as the weeks go on here, but there was a good show. I guess, first of all, shout out, of course, Trevor Anderson, officially the repairable vehicles Tri-State Late Model Series champion for 2022. Tip of the cap, buddy. Congratulations. I was looking at the results. I'm like, man, did he go in style? How did he do? He wasn't there. He had the mod there. A couple rough nights, got in some wrecks. But the late model, he said he hurt a motor, so he wasn't able. He said if he had to for the points, he would have done something to get there. But he said, he already had it locked up, so he stayed. He kept the late model at home, brought the modified. But congratulations to him, and of course, Dirt Track Supply. I know it's the end of the year, but it's time to start planning for Christmas, right? I mean,
there you go.
Wives, girlfriends, boyfriends, if your gal races or whatever, right? This is the time of year. Get a hold of Trevor over at Dirt Track Supply. Get all of your racing stuff, right? Tires, apparel, get safety equipment, get your Hans device and whatever else kind of safety equipment you want. Any kind of parts. If your driver was slow, get an Aero chassis. They win a lot of races. Get a hold of them. If you truly love your significant other, you'll get a hold of Trevor at Dirt Track Supply. Get some Christmas presents coming. It's never too late for early Christmas presents with racing things.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, dirttracksupply.com. You go they got everything up there, so you can peruse kind of what they offer. All right, episode 149. Well, we're almost to a century and a half here. So we'll do the blast from the past, of course, brought to you by Impact Health Sharing.
Well, I'm going to do a little trivia here, but before we do, open enrollment right around the corner. Self-employed people, if you're paying for your own healthcare, business owners, if you're paying for healthcare for your employees, get a hold of me. Shoot me a text, shoot me a call. My number, 218-969-1380. Okay, get a hold of me. Been able to save people a ton of money. I can get you a quick quote, get you some information. We have a great product out there, and a lot of people are paying way too much for health insurance. You don't have to. I have a solution.
Hot topic. So how long is that open enrollment period when that does open up? Is that like 2 months, 6 weeks?
Yeah, not quite. It's typically November and kind of mid-December type deal usually, but we don't have open enrollment with Impact. We can sign up anytime, but a lot of people are making their decision and they're getting locked into something. And with Impact, you're not locked in for a year. It's if you don't like it after a month or two or whatever, right? You can drop it and change and do something else. We don't have an open enrollment period. You can sign up whenever you want.
Perfect. Okay. Yep. So get a hold of Ryan on that. All right. So 149.49. I'm assuming neither of us have a 149.
I do not have a 149. I have some 49s, and we're going to have a little trivia. We're going to have a little fun today. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and start because I might have the person you're thinking of. Do you have a 49?
I think I do, but I need your help. I think he was 49. Okay. Modified driver. Rice Lake area.
And a late model.
Yes, that's right. Yes, he did for a while. Yes.
And a winged modified, I'm guessing.
I think back in the day, I think this is when I first found out who he was. So with a name like this, you can't forget it. Porky Brust.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah. Dustin Doty sent that over. He goes, you can't forget this one. I'm like, come on, I got him on the list. But Porky had a little bit of everything. Of course, him and Paul Brust, brothers. Paul was 19, Porky 49. And they always had that purple. I remember kind of a off purple looking car in the winged modified that he ran down at Cedar Lake. And then he ran mods and he ran late models for the remainder of the end part of his career. But that Brust family, very, very popular in the Wisconsin era. I haven't seen them around. I don't know if they still go to the races, but fans, if you got any favorite Porky Brust stories, share them in the comments, as with some of these other drivers. All right. I have 4 more. It's Hibbing driver. He's kind of the gentleman, very nice guy. Ran in the 6-cylinder class, the super stock class, ultimately ran in the late model class to close out his career. The sponsor on the side of his car, Domex at the end.
Oh, Mackey.
There you go.
Matt Mackey. Matt.
And there was
Yes.
two Matts. We had B-Mac. His dad, Matt Mackey, was the 8. He ran late model. It's Martin's brother. But Matt Mackey, a different Matt Mackey, ran the 49. One of the nicest guys at the racetrack. Everybody liked him. Just non-confrontational, a lot like me, or maybe the opposite. But overall, a good guy. Good one right there. The other one I have here, and I don't think he was typically number 49. Okay, I think this was kind of a offshoot. He ran one year. I happen to have a picture. I don't know why. Okay, Grand Rapids Speedway inaugural Hall of Fame class member.
No idea.
Built engines, including for Brokings. One of the best nicknames in all of racing.
The horse thief?
Bingo.
Really? He was.
Really?
I didn't know he was an engine builder.
Yeah, he built engines for a very long time. Yeah, Harry the Horse Thief Johnson. I don't feel like he was typically number 49. He had multiple numbers. I remember 50 as well, but I have a picture of him in a number 49 car here. Awesome. Another guy I have, okay? This guy ran very competitively in the modified division and in the late model division in southern Minnesota.
Well, Bob Tim?
Tim Bob. Yep, Tim Bob. Bob Tim, Cedar Lake Speedway, my first year, my rookie year in the late models, 2002, we were at the Tony Stewart night. Might have that clip, maybe. But we were actually battling. I think we were around 4th or 5th at the time, and he fenced it, getting into 1, and he ended up upside down, landing on my car. I bent some stuff. I still finished. He did not, and I think I got 7th or 8th or whatever. But he won a lot of races. Of course, Bob Tim, now the promoter at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway, his son Jake Tim, one of the most exciting people to watch. He's up on the wheel, elbows up. He's always banging the board. Super fun to watch. But Bob Tim, he actually got a pair of wins last week in the USRA stock car division, which they're bringing back to Mississippi Thunder. So Bob Tim, one of the great drivers down southern Minnesota, Winona area. Another one, this guy here, really tough to beat at the Dixie Speedway.
The Dixie Speedway, Dixie, Georgia. I don't know.
Had a stint in NASCAR after his dirt racing.
Are we going to the movie here? Are we going? Is this? I can't think of it though.
We're gonna cancel the freaking show if you can't get this name right.
Bruce
Baker.
Yes.
Brewster Baker. I mean, come on. How do we not remember? That is the 49. When you think 49, that's Brewster Baker all day long. Now, fans, I'm going to be honest with you. Okay, if you're watching this show and you have not seen the movie Six Pack, raise your hand, make a fist, and punch yourself in the side of the head. All right? Because that is required viewing if you're a dirt race fan. It's the original dirt racing movie. It's on YouTube, Puka. You can actually type in Six Pack, watch it for free. I know that's right up your alley, but you can watch it for free. I highly urge you, if you haven't seen that, you have to watch that movie. It's a classic. So Brewster Baker it is. So that was a little bit of fun there. What do we got next?
All right. Yeah. Well, we'll go from the past to the present. And we'll talk about our top 5 moments of the week, brought to you by Brad Parson Ag Solutions.
Yeah, Brad, who finally got his car out. Sounds like he's done for the year, but he did officially make some laps with his lawn ornament. So congratulations. But farmers, if you're out in western Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, for racers by racers, get a hold of Brad Parson. His number is here. If you don't have it, if you're listening to this, shoot us a message. I can get you his number. But he has great egg products, great solutions, great fertilizer type products. You can mix stuff right with your current spray packages. The yields have been incredible. They've had awesome data this year and last year. Very competitive, non-changing prices. and you'll be glad you did. I mean, we give enough money to some of them other ag products out there, right? So let's give it to Brad Parson, and let's give it to Agzyme, because that's a local guy here. Let's take care of the local guys.
Right, exactly. Yeah, let's keep it close to home. All right, we're starting out with the street stocks out the number 5 at the Fall Classic.
Well, let's just be honest. I talked to you and I said, what did you watch at the Fall Classic? You're like, well, I watch a late models, part of the mods. Again, you don't like racing. I understand. I get it. You just don't like racing. Again, the best race of the weekend at the Fall Classic, right, was the street stock division. I mean, Braden Brower got in the mix, but really it was between Justin Vogel, Tim Johnson. Timmy got the lead. Vogel powered around him through the middle, won his 5th Fall Classic, his FYE Fall Classic. But the best part wasn't the win, right? It was what he did afterwards. If you haven't seen this, you got to check this out. He did a big smoke show. He gets out of his car while the smoke's rolling up. He gets up, he lifts his shirt up. He's kind of, I think he's debuting for his OnlyFans page. I'm not really sure what he's got going on. You'll have to be sure to message Justin Vogel, get his link for his OnlyFans page. I think that's what he had going on. He did mention that one of the fans said, you have to do this if you win. But let's just be honest, right? Some people look at Justin and they're like, oh man, he's too much of a showman. He's too over the top. I'll be honest. I love the enthusiasm. I love the excitement. He's got passion. I mean, he's got a huge fan base because of it. More drivers need to be like Justin Vogel with the passion he has for racing. Congratulations to the Wolverine.
Yeah, congratulations. All right, number 4, we head out east to Port Royal, the Wheel of Outlaw Sprint Cars.
Pennsylvania Posse. Anthony Ackery doubled up. So he got win number 20 and number 21 of the 2022 season in 410 sprint car action, right? But it was win number 1 and win number 2 in the World of Outlaw sprint car. So that's an accomplishment all by itself. Night number 1 out there at Port Royal, the top 4, Pennsylvania Posse.
Yes.
Night 2, 1st and 2nd. Brent Marks got 2nd on night 2, Pennsylvania Posse. The question I have for you, Fuka, is there a bigger rivalry in any of racing, especially dirt racing, but any of racing, between the Pennsylvania Posse and the World of Outlaws? Is there a bigger rivalry than that than you know of?
No, that's definitely the top of it. And it is so impressive that they get this done, you know, and you know, I can't remember who it was arguing years ago. Do you remember the time when the Masters was going on? Maybe you were there racing a Super, maybe you were in the lates then, but there was a year that Dorr was leading the Masters in a Wazota car. And this was the old 2020, and people kept saying, Monday morning, everyone's keyboard said, boy, they threw like 15 phantom cautions because they knew he would run out of gas. So what I'm getting to is, you know, when you're running a series, when the World of Outlaws pull into Pennsylvania, they want a World of Outlaw guy to win. You know what I mean? So if you're a local or whatever, you're not getting any break. You know what I mean? They're not going to make anything easier for you. They'll make it a little easier for the regulars. So with that being said, yeah, congratulations. And Mac is a guy, I've heard his name, but I really don't know much about him. Do you?
No, I don't. He's a young guy. I've heard his name over the last couple of years running well. And I know he won like that Tom Tarleton Memorial. I think that was a all-star sprint car race maybe out east. But I mean, this kid's got a future. He's a posse guy, but I'm telling you what, this is a group of drivers up here in Pennsylvania. The World of Outlaws comes into their area and they're like, and their fans are like, this is our house, right? Here's a question I have for you. Could the Illinois late model fans kind of have the same thing going with how many top-notch late model guys there are, especially on their home turf, when the Lucas guys come in, the World of Outlaws come in? I mean, should they be making shirts in Illinois saying, bring it, you're in Illinois now, right? Could that kind of be the same thing? Is that the next best thing out there?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's a very fair assessment. Yeah. And did you see 53 grand was added to the 57 grand added to the PDC purse, Prater Classic purse? I saw a headline on that. So I think it's through the field, but we'll come back to that, race fans. But now that you brought that up, but yeah, and now especially now B-Steps can be back home too. That just adds to it.
He is. I mean, you got Bishop, you got Shirley. I mean, you got Unzicker. You got, yeah, Pierce. Yeah, Bab is Moequa, right, Illinois, and you have Dennis Erb Jr., right, Jason Fager. That right now might be the hotbed for open late model racing. I'm telling you what. And when the out of town guys come to town, them locals in Illinois are tough. So maybe we're gonna have to make a phone call to some fans or Rigsby or some of them guys. Say, come on, where's our? We got to get some shirts going on, right? We got to have the. You can't call it the late model posse, but they got to come up with something.
All right, number 3, the veteran T-Mac Tim McCready tied up his 2nd championship in a row with the Lucas Oil their late model series.
And in style, right? He won. You know what were they at Talladega? Kind of an uneventful race. It wasn't overly exciting, but I mean, we're going to talk more about him in just a little bit. But T-Mac, I mean, emotional. When they interviewed him in Victory Lane, it was kind of more of a tie between like excitement, but a sigh of relief and just kind of load off his shoulders. I mean, you can tell that he's very appreciative. And that was probably one of the better interviews I heard with Tim McCready. Congratulations to T-Mac.
Yeah, awesome. All right, number 2, Jeremy Nelson, Fall Classic.
This one here, very easily, I maybe should have put this at number 1, but the 06 Jeremy Nelson, right? Everybody's used to the number 4 Jeremy Nelson that ran in the mods. This is the 06 Jeremy Nelson, okay? So there's 2 that kind of ran in the same area, but he not only drove by Dave Moss, but he drove by Shane Sobraski to win the Fall Classic in the Super Stocks. We'll talk more about who should have won this race in just a little bit, right? But, I mean, huge congratulations. I mean, he looked really good. I mean, if I told you a guy that really, I mean, he doesn't win many races, he might have won earlier this year, was going to drive by Moss and Sobraski to win, you'd have called me a liar. So that's a huge win. You know, basically a little notch in the belt there for Jeremy Nelson. Congratulations. That's going to be a guy to watch next year. That 06, very smooth. He's going to be fun to watch in 23.
All right. And our number 1 moment of the week, back to the Fall Classic, the Double One Express.
4 straight. Again, we'll talk more about this in a little bit because it's kind of he might not have had the car to beat, but he was there at the end. Okay. But the fact is, his 5th overall, Justin Vogel, also his 5th overall, like Fall Classics over at the Ogilvy. I guess they've been at a couple different places, but I tell you what, Pat Dorr, I mean, one of the few cars that came over from his direction. We'll talk more about that, but big accomplishment. I mean, that's one there. That's a big one. It's kind of becoming a little bit of a crown jewel in Wissota racing, and to get 4 straight of those, that's a big accomplishment. Congratulations, Pat Dorr.
Yeah, I called them all cold a couple of weeks ago. Boys, he showed me. So this is a good time to comment. If you want to throw your top moment of the week in the comments, you can do that for us. We'd like to see that. All right, so let's take a minute to dive a little bit more. Like I said, Wissota's big race obviously was the Fall Classic, and let's kind of dive into that just a little bit more.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm going to ask you, right? Because we have, if you think invitationals back in when we were younger, when we were kids, right? It was the Silver 1000, the Labor Day Shootout, the Russ Larson Classic. Then even before the 100, that's when they went to Thunder Bay.
Okay, right.
Then they changed it, and that was the Wissota 100. Then it was the Punky. Then it was the Red Clay, and essentially the season was over at that time. And it seems like, man, it's close to 20 years. I guess I should know what year Fall Classic it was, but it's been about 20 years. The season's kind of changed a little bit, right? Like we used to start racing the beginning of April. Now it's like we never start in the beginning of April. It's always wet and rainy. And now the season's, it's kind of shifted about a month. So Chris Steppen with FYE decided, let's do a Fall Classic. Started out at the Viking Speedway, switched over to Ogilvy here a few years back. Is this becoming, in your mind, a Wissota crown jewel event?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Especially with the move to Ogilvy, I think it's growing. I was never at the one in Viking, but it just, I don't know. I think guys like racing at Ogilvy. I mean, their schedule continues. They'll have the topless and such, and they seem to draw cars there. So I think it was a step in the right direction. You know, the half mile and there's always those drivers that, even Superior. Remember how many times do we hear up here on the range? Well, my engine's not big enough. Superior is too big, or you know what I mean? So get off that big half mile, put it into the smaller 3/8 mile and Ogilvy. Yeah, I definitely think, that's one that's, a permanent one. What do you think?
Absolutely, and I think they had a big car count at Viking too, because it was the
Okay.
only event on. It was packed, and they had big crowds. The problem with Viking wasn't necessarily the track, because I did see some good races over there. The problem was with that many cars, they have a hard curfew at the Viking Speedway. And I remember I was racing with Danny Thomas and Scott Danzeisen in the supers, and I split them. I got by Danzeisen, yellow come back out. They put me back, and we ended up running 7 laps. They had to time limit it because they had to rush everything through to get it in. And at Ogilvy, there's no time limit. You just race till the races are done. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's not so good. But the fact is, I think that was one of the big reasons it moved. They had I don't have the exact number. It was around 300 cars, and I thought that was they did have a lot of classes, but pretty solid car counts and everything. I was pretty surprised.
While we're talking about car counts, where were the Wisconsin late models?
Well, that's a good question. Pat Dorr was right. Of course, he won. But when I'm MB Nation as a whole, right? We'll start with Daryl Nelson, who decided he was done. He wasn't gonna. He typically doesn't go down there. But you look at Jimmy Mars, who I did see. Jimmy, I think, was with his kid go-kart racing, and I think his kid got his first win in a wing go-kart. So he was with the kid. Sam wasn't there. AJ wasn't there. No Jesse Glens, no G.O.A.T, who I think hurt a motor, no Jake Radetzky, no Hannesteds, no Mater, no Eater, no Panitsky, right? Where are all these guys? John Canto went to the tri-state race at Murray County, which is in Slayton. So did Lance Matthews. They went down there. Very surprised to see John Canta drive essentially kind of past Oakley to go there. I was surprised. But when I looked through all the fields, just like you did, we were talking about that. It's like, I'm shocked, right? There's nothing else going on. Maybe the weather for a few of them, right? I can see a few of them saying it was like 40 degrees, not interested. But I assume, especially because Chris Steppen is from New Richmond, right?
Yeah.
So I figured like he'd have some ties to be able to maybe pull some of them drivers over. Still a good count, still a good field of cars. Not as strong a field overall in the late models as maybe I would have expected for that race. Still some good race cars, but I'm very surprised not to see a lot of them Menominee Cedar Lake guys not there.
Yeah, especially Canta. You essentially drove past, but good for the Tri-State Series. Got a couple different competitors that don't normally compete. What's that track like down there in Slayton? You been there?
I have not. I've never been there. No. 7 of the top 8 in the late model division at Ogilvy race Superior.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So if you look through the results, Belfi. Well, speaking of Mike Belfi, I got to give him a donkey award. I love Mike Belfi. He's a buddy of mine, but come on, dude. He was light in the heat. He had a fast hot rod, right? And dude, he was light by 2 pounds. I talked to him. Said, well, Pat Dorr said you're a cheater. He's like, I bet he did. He didn't say that. I was jacking him up about something that happened with Dorr earlier in the year. But he's like, well, I had to wait for a whole race, and they made me drive around, which quite possibly made him lose 2 pounds and made him light. Why are you that close? You've been racing for 20-some years. There's no reason to be within 2-3 pounds. And he would have been, with his passing points, he would have been front row in the A main, and he still got up and had a decent run out of the deal. But Mike, come on, man. No more being light. That's uncalled for. Don't run it that like eat another cheeseburger or something.
All right. Anything else on the Fall Classic?
Yeah, quite a bit. So just a quick little recap. So, looking at the late models here, Pat Dorr, we talked about that. Don Shaw led that. I think he heard a motor, saw a puff of smoke. Sounds like he had a motor issue. He's been so good during invitational season. I honestly think Don Shaw was probably the car to beat in that race. Heard a motor. Dave Moss was up in the top 3, battling with Pat Dorr. Dorr kind of slid up by him. No contact. Moss pounded the wall. I think he broke something in the rear end. Tough break for him. Jeffrey Massengill, and you got to look this up. You got my race pass there. I should have it. I didn't write down the number. He started way back.
Yeah, I think it was 13th. I think I
I think
saw
it
his
was
brother.
might have been 13th. I feel like it was further back than that, but I'm not positive. But he got up into the top 3. The bottom came in. He's really good on one of the best on the bottom in that 6M, and not his best season, but a great finish nonetheless for the 6M.
15th, yeah, 15th to 3rd.
15th to 3rd. That's a hell of a run. Modified division, Shane Sabraski. He dueled there with Jody Belfi early in the race, and then he put it on cruise control. Took that JMR chassis, Jay McDonald building a very good hot rod locally, and he drove away from the field. Super stocks. Here's where it got interesting. So look back at the super stock lineups there really quick while we're talking. Dexton Cook, I think, started 9th. Okay, I think you can look that up, 7th or 9th. He drove by everybody like their shit was broke. Like he was gone, like a straightaway. I mean, he was killing them. And he started deep in that field. And I'm like, holy crap, right? So also I want you to look to see where Brandon Dolman started. So he gets the lead. Caution comes out. There's a couple of cautions. Debris on the racetrack. Puka, muffler fell off.
Oh.
Donkey Award, Dexton Cook. Y'all don't even race on rough racetracks. How's shit falling off your race car? I don't get it, right? I remember back. So where this rule came from, okay, there was a tragedy. I don't know if you remember this. I think it was in the 90s at the Red Cedar Speedway in Menominee, Wisconsin. A muffler fell off the car. It got scooped up, flew into the grandstands, killed somebody.
Really? No.
So that's when they made the rule that if a muffler falls off a car, automatic disqualification. You even have to like wire feed your number on the muffler so that if it falls off. Now, I mean, I get it, things happen, but come on. I mean, how does something fall off? You gotta, I don't know if a tab broke or a bolt. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but uncalled for. He'd really be kicking himself right now if he would have been close enough to Shane Sabraski to win the national title, which he wasn't because Shane dominated, right? But he still got second, had a hell of a year. If it would have come down to the last night where he needed that win to win a national title and his muffler fell off, that would not be good.
Tough pill to swallow there. Yeah. All right. Here's your numbers. Duelman started 14th, and you want Dexton starting spot?
Yeah, and Duelman got 3rd, right, from 14th.
Yeah, where's Dexton?
5th row, I believe. I think he started 9th, 7th or 9th.
I may not see him.
Well, you have to look at lineups. You're probably looking at results, and they have him as DNS.
Oh.
Yep. So either way, he started deep. Jeremy Nelson was the class of the field after that. Dexton Cook easily should have won that race. It was his race to win. Now, another thing we have here, Midwest Mods, Jason Vandekamp, not necessarily his best season, always solid, got his 2nd fall classic. Travis Schulte, who always runs good. I think he's got 3 of them, got 2nd. But Girl Power, 3rd and 4th. Haley Lee got 3rd. Kennedy Swan got 4th. Okay. Now, should I put my fan question of the week that we got from one of the fans right here since we brought up Kennedy Swan?
Sure.
So I had somebody text me and they said she killed him in the heat. She won the heat by like a straightaway. Okay. Started on the pole. You know where she started in the feature? 12th. Okay. Because they went passing points. So they were frustrated. This was from a very frustrated Kennedy Swan fan. And there was another driver that won his heat from the pole, started 13th because he was a heat after. As a fan, and I'm going to get into my thoughts on this, what is your thoughts on the passing points for lining up A-mains?
For the most part, I like them. Of course, I like it more than the typical Wazota thing, which is just drawing. If you're going to encourage traveling, you have to have the drivers be able to put their destiny in their own hands somewhat, and I think the whole thing with passing points when it started was less time on the track, the program's less because we don't have to time trial. Also, of course, less laps on the tracks. We don't need to time trial everyone. We'll do the passing points, move the program along. Now, I have heard of out west where they do passing points, but if you win your heat, the heat winners are all will make up the first 2 or 3 or 4 rows, however many heats there are. But then they go passing points beyond that. So they modified it a little bit. So I have heard of that being done just a little bit. Yeah.
Okay,
But
so that's
yeah. So if you, because all the theory was if you win your heat, you've done everything you can do, right? So we're giving you the benefit of the doubt there. And then sometimes it's kind of a nice formula because, you might get a couple slower cars, not bad drivers, obviously they won the heat, but a little bit slower on the front, and like a bigger race. And then actually the fastest car ends up starting 6th then. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I hate them. As a racer, I liked it, especially if you drew bad. But as a fan, here's multiple reasons why I hate them. In the current format, that format you're talking about, a hybrid of it, probably a good fit, right? Because right now, if you get to a race and there's 7 heats, right? There's a lot of heats. Like they had 7 heats in Midwest Mods. If you draw inside pole, you might as well load up, go home. You ain't gonna win. Chances are, right? Because you could lap the field in the heat race twice, and you're still not going to start in the front few rows.
Right.
So they're penalizing drivers for drawing good, right? And the flip of that is people say, well, if you draw bad and it's straight up or whatever, then they're getting penalized. Well, at least with a straight up or a draw redraw format, you have a mathematical chance before the race starts to actually start in the front few rows. I don't like any format where the pole setter is penalized and doesn't even have a shot to start in the front row. A couple solutions to this problem, right? Number one is if you start inside pole, treat it the same as if you start outside pole. So if you win from the front row, in my mind, you should get credit for passing one car, because I've seen as many races, if not more, one from the outside pole having an advantage rather than the inside pole. So give that person whatever it is, 1.76 or whatever the formula is. I think my favorite format is what they do at the red clay. Okay. And what they do there is winners start ahead of seconds start ahead of thirds. So let's just go there's 5 heats, right? All 5 heat winners redraw, and that determines the first 5 spots. All the second place finishers redraw, that determines 6th to 10th, right? So it's straight up, but it's kind of flipped around. I remember at my first WISSOTA 100, I think it was 95, 90, I don't know, early 90s. I'm old. And I was in heat 11, started last, and I got right to the rear bumper of Sean Kelly. I made the feature. I got second. We're all pumped. Well, then we realized I got second in heat 11, so I was starting 22nd in the feature. So that didn't work, right? But I don't know. The passing points deal to me, obviously they draw for heat positions already, and then you shouldn't be penalized. I think that fans, I'd like you to weigh in. I mean, maybe have some kind of a hybrid like you're talking where the winners go in and then it's passing points. I think that may be a good solution. But just, penalizing a driver, Kennedy Swan might have been the fastest car in the B-Mod class. She had a rocket ship. But when you start 12th in a big show like that with all them good cars, you're handcuffed right away. And that, like you said, there's nothing more she could have done in that heat race to put herself in position. She won the heat by a straightaway and still had to start 12th. So I don't like the passing points. I think some things need to be looked at.
Well, and the other problem with the passing points too is, you get stuck in that fast heat. That's one thing with time trials, right? Whatever there's going to be 5 heats. Well, the top 5 fastest guys are each starting in a different heat. So, it splits things up a little bit, but yeah, you can end up in a rocket heat and, you're not going to go anywhere because everybody's fast. All right.
Yeah, we talked about the streeters, right?
Yeah.
Now, I know these are your favorite classes, but Mod 4s, right? There was a little fireworks in the Mod 4. Holquist and Bowden battling for the lead. Contacts made. Fans, you make the call, right? Bowden, Flat Build Nation, Puka's boy, he got put to the back. And I think it was, man, oh man, you can maybe take a look. But one of the Rants, there's 2 Rant brothers. They're both under 18. One's 11. Both of them were in the top 5. But one of the older of the brothers won the A main. And the younger brother, I think it's Levi and Landon. I think Landon won. Levi maybe got set or got in the top 5. But up and comers, Wisconsin guys, Puka, Wisconsin kids in Mod 4s.
Interesting.
Weird to me. Then they don't have mod 4s, right?
Right.
Josh Berg, Grand Rapids guy from up by Bemidji, trying to chase down Chad Finkbone. I think probably not going to happen for second in the national standings. Should have won it. Stepped all over his wiener. Gonna have to get him a Band-Aid. He was leading, had it won, just completely looped it all by himself. I like Josh, but man, that one was painful. But the winner, okay, and you guys can look up the name. I don't remember the name or whatever, but all I know is this is the winner was DQ'd in the heat on Friday, won the feature on Saturday, was DQ'd again. Just saying. I don't exactly know what he was DQ'd for, but you can do your own research on that. Now in the Hornet division, Puka, get this. The top 5 in the feature all got disqualified.
What was going on there? Was Billy on a rampage?
Billy, evidently somebody was on a rampage over there. 3 of them sound like they were kind of a questionable deal. The most heaviest tech class in all of racing is the Hornets. I shake my head. Wissota shouldn't even have their hands on the Hornets and the Pure Stocks. It shouldn't even be a thing, right? It should be track rules, and that's the most teching they get. But overall, track never locked down, never rubbered up. Hats off, great job to the crew over at the Ogilvie Raceway. Of course, Topless coming up in 2 weeks, and great car count, fan count, really light, probably because of the cold weather. But overall, some pretty good racing over at the Big O.
All right, awesome. Well, we'll move on to our hot takes now, brought to you by buyraceshirts.com. We've been talking about them a little bit, so it's buyraceshirts.com. It's kind of combined with Outline Graphics. They're a full-service print shop. They, screen printing, embroidery. They do signs, race wraps, vehicle wraps, decals, promo items. And we've talked about, Christmas coming up and you needing to get some apparel for your fans. So buyraceshirts.com is where you go. It's really easy to do. You go right on the website, you walk your way through it step by step to do all the design, you get the proofs, and you get your order in. So buyraceshirts.com is where to go. Get your loyal fans some nice merch for Christmas. All righty. What do we want to talk about? Oh, we want to talk about the Minnesota Vikings.
The Minnesota Vikings.
I want to hear this one.
Are Wissota. And Wissota is the Minnesota Vikings. All right. If you're a Vikings fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. This is going to resonate with you. Every single offseason, every year, we're just about to the offseason, every year. Oh man, things are going to change. Things are going to get better. What's going to be new and exciting? All this hope and all this, like, man, I think things are going to be a lot better. All to end up with utter mediocrity and major disappointment because it's vanilla, it's boring, and it's a shit show, right? So that's the Minnesota Vikings. I'm a Vikings fan. They break my heart every year. I love dirt track racing. I love the concept of Wissota. They break my heart every year. Why? Because they don't do anything better ever. They never grow. They have a stagnant mindset. Puka, they don't even know who their freaking customer base is, right? Unbelievable. If you talk to certain people at the Wissota Promoters Association, you know who they think that their customer base is? The promoters. Oh. It's not. It's the drivers, right? Because ultimately most of the tracks are ran by drivers, right?
Yes.
They're either current or former drivers or aborted drivers. So they don't quite understand that, it's not it's a business. It is a business, right? But they look at it, they're like, well, we got to please the promoters. Now, you need to please the drivers, because if the drivers are all pissed off and want to go a different direction, guess what that promoter is going to do? Whatever the driver wants them to do, if they want to have cars at their racetrack, right? We're not in the day of age where there was 100 some cars at every track. We're not there. We don't have 40 cars in a class every single night. Track promoters used to be able to say, well, if you don't like it here, go race somewhere else. Well, they can say that, but then they're only going to have 6 cars in each class. So they really can't do that anymore.
So what brought you to this? What got you so fired up this past week to bring this up? Was there a story or something?
I had some conversations with some people in the organization, and they're talking about different things that they want to do. And I just listened and I just shook my head. I'm like, they're wasting their time with some of this stuff. I mean, some of it's kind of cool or whatever, but ultimately it doesn't change things, right? So another thing, right? Last year, all the infighting with the Minnesota Vikings, all the infighting. I mean, the head coach and the general manager didn't even talk. They didn't talk, right? Well, right now, so you got turmoil in leadership. Well, same thing here. There's people in positions in Wissota, whether they're paid or board members, that have just overstayed their welcome. Okay. If you want things to change, you need to chop the head off the top, and you need to get all new people, and not just one, not just a couple new people. There's certain people involved with the Wissota Promoters Association that are they're handcuffing it. They're the ones holding it back, right? It's their mindset of just, well, we're just trying to stay. We don't want to do anything out of the ordinary. If you're not ripening, you're rotting. They're flat out in, at best, survival mode. They just don't get it. They don't understand what promoting is. Let me give you an example. They don't even know what the hell they're doing. So we have and I don't want to call this person by name or whatever, but we've been talking about the lack of social media presence, right, for Wissota. And I talked to some people, and they said, well, we're going to work on that for next year. Well, I hope so, okay, because it's been awful. If not for Dirt Race Central, Ben and the crew, there'd probably be no posts on Facebook, right? So I looked, and I can't even, I want you to picture this. Vikings, right? This is Vikings and Wissota are kind of the same. Imagine the Vikings being 6-10 going into the last game. It's happened. 7-9, 8-8, mediocre, right? So they're right. They're probably not going to make the playoffs, but they're right on the verge. They're already out of it. And all of a sudden, the announcer's like, oh man, here we go. The Vikings taking a chance. 4th and 2 from their own 40-yard line. They're really going to go for it here. Who gives a shit? The season's already over. What the hell?
Wrapped up, baby.
Well, Wissota just did the same thing. They're posting on Facebook. You can look at it. They're like, we got major points battles coming down here this week and only 2 shows to go. The points have been locked up for a month. There is no points battles. Kudos for at least acknowledging that there's a points battle, right? That there's points. First time all year that I heard them even mention points. But now they're like, oh, we got a points. People are like, there's a points battle. I'm like, no, there ain't a points battle. They've been wrapped up. Every single class is wrapped up. There ain't no points battle at all. What the hell are they doing? You look at that, and it's disappointing. It's disappointing. They have an opportunity, Puka, when Wissota first started, right? God bless there's people that have passed that helped start it. There's still some people around. All the tracks, all of them in the area, had different rules, late models, modifieds. It was like, if you wanted to race, if you were a Hibbing car and you wanted to go to Superior Proctor, there was a few different rules. If you wanted to go to Thunder Bay, it was different. If you wanted to go to Cedar Lake, Menominee, Rice Lake, it was all different, right? If you wanted to go to Alexandria, totally different. Well, the best thing that happened was Wissota was formed, and now you got 50-some racetracks with exactly the same rules. It was amazing, right? You know what we got today? 1980 all over again, because now we have all these different sanctioning bodies, 852 different classes. They have completely lost grasp on what the hell they're doing.
Yes.
And what they need to do is they need to figure out what it is they're good at, right? So the Minnesota Vikings, they're still trying to figure that out, right? But Wissota needs to figure out what is their intent, what is their purpose, and the purpose is to promote racing, make it fun, not nitpick every stupid little thing. Ultra disappointing, and here we are again, right? Postseason's just about here, and we're going, oh man, I sure hope that things are going to change. I hope things are going to get better. I'm excited for 2023. I think they got some big things going. I don't know. I tell you what, the track record keeps telling me that I should just kind of brace myself for disappointment again, but I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm just going to be that typical Vikings fan going, this is a year. Maybe this is a year. This has got to be the year. We'll find out soon enough.
Hanging on. Well, please comment, folks. That's great. Now, you will be at the Wissota meeting.
That's right? The plans. That's the plan.
Is that November?
Yep, in November, on behalf of the Grand Rapids Speedway. Be going down there with Bob and there's sad thing is they already kind of got an agenda in place. So we really just kind of vote on what's going on, but hopefully there's a little bit of an opportunity for an open forum, some dialogue, get everybody on the same page, figure out what we can do to grow this sport because we all love it. We want it to get better. I don't like bashing WISSOTA all the time. I do that to bring light to the fact that that's how everybody feels, right? So if everybody feels that way and you see all the tracks falling by the wayside, instead of going, well, this person's negative, no, do something about it, fix it. And not everything can be fixed. I talked to Rod about this. Can't fix everything at one time. Got to prioritize, but you got to delegate. You got to get 4 or 5 people in there and give everybody a task and let them go. You got to get the right people in, and hopefully they do that.
Yeah. All right. Like I said, comment, folks. This is really good. Good stuff. Ryan's rant. All right. Let's move on to the weekend races, kind of the weekend roundup here. Falls didn't disappoint.
Never does. Never does. I mean, that place, even when the racing is kind of lackluster, so to speak, it's still better than most.
Yeah.
It's a 1/4 mile bull ring with a cushion to bang in the boards. Night 1, the Moweaqua Missile, Shining Bab. Night number 2, the Smooth Operator, my buddy Dave's favorite driver. Just kidding. Drove by Jason Fager to get it done, 15,000. And Mars Series Championship, Ryan Unzicker had a good year, solid year. Jason Fager second. Did you watch anything over at Falls?
Yeah, I watched the Saturday night portion. So I 16 grand to Unzicker for wrapping up that championship. Like I said, Telltale Falls, even that Falls on Elcher is pretty good. He's got an interesting style. He definitely has his own style, but he's pretty good too. But how about Billy Moyer Sr. out racing again? How many times are you going to retire? I mean, it just, it's Billy Moyer Sr., Billy Moyer Jr., guy we really talked about a lot this year. But I have noticed, even like during the Hell Tour and stuff, he seems to, well, like you were maybe saying, he might like the bull rings because he has spent a lot of time in Illinois this summer racing. He's an Arkansas boy. It's kind of a long drive, but it was kind of cool to see the Moyers there.
Well, you talk about how many Dirt Car Summer National Hell Tour championships does Billy Moyer have? Maybe Billy Moyer Jr. could maybe follow that next year.
Yeah, maybe.
Hey, another shout out. I don't know if you saw this. Mike Harrison, right? Mod guy, multiple UMP national championships, made his debut, ran in the top 5 most of the race on night number 2 on Saturday. Faded back to 11th, but he just jumped in a late model. He looked pretty good for a while.
Oh, good for him. Hopefully another we can convert him. Hopefully we can convert him.
I don't know if you want more mod guys coming up and whooping on those late model guys. We'll find out.
All right, let's head to the Castro Flow Night in America. They were down in Tri-County down in North Carolina on what was that, Thursday night?
Thursday, I think it was. Did you watch that race?
I did.
Dale McDowell.
I was surprised with the win. But yeah, did he?
The people's elbow. You don't typically see that from him. It's kind of nice.
But he said in the poster, he said, I didn't hit him. But he said, did you watch it? But he said, I didn't. Because they said something to him, like, he's mad at you, or you think he'll be mad, or he's upset. And he's like, I didn't hit him. That's a deal. He's like playing it. He's like, I did not hit him. Should be mad. There's nothing. I didn't hit him. I didn't do anything wrong. So
maybe he didn't. I don't know. It looked to me like he hit him. Maybe he took the air off him and the guy pushed, but it looked like he kind of gave him a little bit of a hip check going by him. What do you think?
Yeah, well, and that was Carson Ferguson.
Yeah,
Chris Ferguson's brother. Yeah. So I didn't think he hit him either. I thought Carson just kind of came in a little almost too hard, is what I thought. But like I said, maybe pushed a little. So,
but McDowell, though, I tell you what, that's another guy right there, just ultra smooth. Getting it done, and he's not exactly a spring chicken. He's not one of the young guys, so kind of nice seeing them old dogs win.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, like I said, I mean, none of us in our pick'ems, nobody picked McDowell, so yeah, I was happy to see him win. All right, do you want to go back to the tri-state repairable vehicles?
Yeah, I mean, did you happen to see who won? I'm just gonna say mod guy. I'm just gonna say
no, I didn't.
Rocket Rodney Sanders doubled up in the late model. He won night number 1 and night number 2. We talked about John Canta, surprised that he drove by Ogilvy to go there, but he had a pair of podiums, had 2 third-place finishes. Matthews had a 5th and a 6th. In the B mods, they had an open sanction rule where WISSOTA B mods and IMCA could all run, sport mods and B mods run together. The WISSOTA guys whipped the shit out of them. So Brad, Bad Brad, right? Our buddy Brad with soda kicking butt on your IMCA boys. Just saying, right? Aaron Blacklance with a Zuli engine winning night 1, the Cobra Cody Lee winning night number 2.
Awesome. Okay, do you want to hit on the Lucas again?
Well, I guess the only thing there, we talked about T-Mac, but I didn't realize this. He's never won a dirt track world championship, right?
Right, I heard that correct.
Could he get it done this year?
I don't think, well, maybe, I was picking him a lot at the beginning of the year, and then he started racing for the title. He started racing for the title, but he's been kind of hot in here now the last couple of weeks. So maybe, and he doesn't have to worry. Obviously, the title's wrapped up. So, maybe I'm not picking him, but I mean, there's a shot. What do you think? I mean, you've been in that position where it helps that you've clinched, right?
The pressure's off his shoulders, right? He's a perennial powerhouse as far as points go. I don't know. I'm kind of rooting for him a little bit, but the person I'm kind of rooting for in a way is JD, right? Because there's only a couple big shows left. There's $100,000 to win there. It's $40,000 to win down at All Tech. It's $80,000 for him to win at Vegas, right? And he's at like 1.85, million. So, I mean, if he wins it, he has a very legit chance to eclipse 2 million.
Yes.
Chris Madden, on the other hand, if he wins it, he has a very legit chance to eclipse 1 million. Puka, what would be more impressive? One driver eclipsing 2 million, or for the first time ever, 2 drivers eclipsing 1 million in the same year?
Oh, I think the 2. I mean, like you said, and like I said, as an industry, and as race fans, or just as an industry, we need to get those numbers out there. Like, people need to know, like, well, Kyle, you can make that kind of money dirt track racing. Because again, I think that will legitimize the sport a little bit, and that may potentially bring in the big ad dollars. The McDonald's of the world, all the people that are in NASCAR. So it's like, that guy won $1 million. What? It's like, so I hope they both do it, and I hope it's reported on correctly and pushed out into the mainstream of America so that people kind of know what's going on here.
Yeah, I agree. Very good point there, Puka.
All right. Anything else? Any other recaps?
Nope.
All right. Time for a little who's hot and who's not. I guess I'll start because my hot take last week was, my sure bet was Shane Zabrowski winning the mods. He won the mods. So I'm going to stick with him as far as, he's obviously hot. And even, like I said, Don Shaw probably would have won that race. Remains hot, but like I said, sounds like motor trouble. But who you got on the hot list?
If the queen had balls, she'd be the king. So the woulda, coulda, shoulda. He didn't win, so he's not hot, right? Shane Zabrowski is in the mod. Super stock, not so much. He kind of, I don't know if he's lacking interest in the super stock, if he's bored, if he's off his game. I'm not really sure, but he wasn't very good in the super. He still finished up front, but he wasn't. I think he got 4th, which I don't know. That doesn't happen with the 7A. I'm not really sure what happened there. I'm gonna go with T-Mac, right? The ultimate points racer. I like chasing points. I like to have something to chase when I was racing. And that's the guy right there that was laser focused. He had a goal in mind, right? And this is a life lesson, right? He had a goal in mind. His goal was the Lucas Oil late model championship. That's what he wanted to win. And he even alluded to it. He's like, I can't get too far off base with setups. I can't be testing and trying stuff. I'm pretty good right here. I know where I'm at, and I'm trying to win a championship that paid a bunch of money this year. What did it pay? $250? Oh, it was a lot.
I think it's 150. I think
150. Yeah, it was a bunch.
Yeah.
So for him to just kind of step up his game the second half of the year and just ultra consistent, and then winning this last race to really put the emphasis on it. I'm going with Tim McCready. What a great season he's had.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, who's not? I got our buddy Buggy Bobby Sheldon. Hasn't been to Victory Lane since Labor Day weekend, September 2nd, out at Skagit when they're out in California on that run. He's had a couple podiums, and when they're at, I think, Williams Grove last week, the podium there, and then I think in Sharon, he podiumed. But he is the series leader as far as wins, but he's on a heck of a dry spell.
And I'm going to go with another guy, right? You're in the world of outlaws there. I'm going to go to the Lucas Oil late model side, and we're going to talk B-Shep here, right? So Brandon Shepard has 1 win in his last 26 starts. Okay. So
Wow.
that's a long stretch of races without a win. And there was a point in time where he had, I think it was like 100-point lead. He had a big lead, and T-Mac stepped up his game, and Shepard just consistently started kind of fading. It's not like he's run completely terrible, but I mean, when he went from like leading both, or he was running second, right? He was just a couple points back from Dennis Herb Jr. with a legit shot to win the World of Outlaw Championship. We thought he was going to stay there, and we were surprised when he made his switch over to Lucas Oil. And it's like, well, he has a point lead. I mean, B-Chef's kind of he's the front runner right now, and he just faded the second half of the year here. And really, I was surprised, but maybe a resurgence in 2023 with the B5 car.
Yeah. And I think what really took the air out of the sails for him this year was Knoxville a few weeks ago when he was running up there, and he ended up with did he have contact with Ricky? Him and Ricky, I think we're playing kissy face, and ended up with a bad finish, and that kind of put him on. And of course, T-Mac winning races doesn't help. All right, our locks of the week brought to you by Real Estate by Jay Schmidt.
Yeah, I tell you what, 4 racers by racers, over 20 plus years in business, great racing family. If you're in the Watertown, South Dakota area, I get it. Real estate's kind of in a downturn right now. It really is, but he can still take care of you, whether you're buying a house, selling a house, whether if it's land, commercial, residential. Jay Schmidt is the guy to get a hold of. The lock of the week, Real Estate by Jay Schmidt in Watertown. Thanks for their support. Get a hold of him. He'll take good care of you.
For sure. All right, I'm gonna, like I said, I'm sticking with the hot shoe. I'm sticking with Shane Sabraski in the mod up at Souptown. If they don't get snow and frost and everything, and they do race that Can-Am in Superior, I'm going to Shane Sabraski in the mod. Who you got?
Well, I'm going to go with Mother Nature at the Gonda Claw Speedway. They say he had a post out there today, probably going to cancel Monday, probably not going to make it. I hope they get it in, but the weather does not look favorable. They don't really need to take a perennial bath as far as a low fan count, but I'm hoping they get it in. So I'm going to go with JD. Superman Jonathan Davenport is going to win the Dirt Track World Championship at Portsmouth, and he's going to put himself right on the heels of hitting that $2 million mark. Tell you what, when the money's been on the line this year, Puka, that he's been the guy to every single time. I don't see why this would be any different.
No, I completely agree. He's definitely a top contender. All right, let us know, fans, who you're picking for this weekend. We'd like that. Throw it down in the comments. All right, we're going to move on to the last lap segment, brought to you by Zuli's Race Engines. We've talked about Frank, Zuli's Race Engines, lots of power, lots of dependability, and lots of wins, Ryan.
4 racers, I tell you what, this guy right here, if you can't beat him, join him. The Wolverine, Justin Vogel, yet another big win in that number 10 street stock. Got it done at the Fall Classic. Of course, Aaron Blacklance, another win in the Midwest Mod down at the Murray County Speedway in Slayton. I mean, we barely have any racing even going on. And guess what? They're still winning races, right? So Zuli Race Engines, thanks to them guys, they do a great job. This is a time of year to start looking ahead to 2023. Give Frank a call. Get on the list early because he's got a lot of work to do. You want to get in the line early to get your stuff taken care of.
All right. A cool story out of Volusia down in Florida.
Hey, I feel like a quitter. I shouldn't even talk about this. Kind of donkey award to myself for being a quitter, right? Quitting early. 81-year-old Buzzy Ruderman. Now, you remember David Ruderman, the fastest, the second fastest Domino's pizza guy in the country.
That's right. That's right.
He was the second fastest. Okay, I wasn't on TV with it, but Buzzy Ruderman, of course, his dad, 81 years young, won the UMP Modified Track Championship down at the Volusia Speedway in Florida. Dad. Okay, I know my dad's watching the show. Dad, you're not 81, right? Let's get the car.
Let's go, Rudy.
Car, right? I mean, they sold the house to my brother, right? So they got a little money. Let's go buy a couple cars. My dad, I'll go help him. He could win a track championship. He's younger than Buzzy Ruderman. I thought that was kind of cool. So, Dad, you got to get this shit done.
And the crazy thing is, for those of you who are not familiar with Volusia, I mean, that's a hammer down. That's a fast track. You know, they're not putting around on that thing. It's not like a little quarter mile that's slippery. I mean, it's a big we talk about every year in the spring. It's pretty demanding on engines.
Yeah, big half mile down there. It's super fast. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Hey, one thing I didn't have on the list here, but remember last week I talked about Adam Brotherton and the draw scandal over at the Miller Speedway.
Yeah.
You know how well I got confirmation back. He messaged me and he said, yeah, that kind of happened. So yeah, that kind of clever, right? And it sounds like maybe it happened more than once. And I talked to the other driver, Corey Berquist. He's like, here's the deal. He goes, I was getting text messages going, are you here? He goes, no, I'm not even in the town. What are you talking about? Well, you're in the lineup. Well, I'm not racing. Yeah, he was oblivious to it. So that actually did happen over in Miller. So again, promote, do the resetting number one, but do resetting number one at the pit meeting manually with a bag with chips or balls or something in there. Have a kid not on the computer, right? Not behind the scenes. Do it right there in front of everybody. Reset one. Also, I would recommend when everybody draws their initial number, post their initial numbers up on the wall and then do the reset. So that way nobody's going, well, they could have changed the number. It's all perception. Protect yourself and get everybody in the right state of mind.
Yeah. All right. Viper Motorsports can add a driver for 2023.
Are they adding a driver or is one out?
I thought Viper was adding. Viper is who Max Blair races.
Is Max Blair keeping that ride?
As far as I know, he's keeping the ride, yeah. And then because it's kind of ironic that the second and third are going to team up in point battle. Yeah.
Okay, that I did not know. See, I was under the understanding that he was out of a ride and English was in, and I'm like, well, he had a good year. Why would he be out of a ride? So yeah, you read it. It sounds like second. So they're adding a car.
They're going to add a car. Yeah, it's my understanding. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So we can look into that. Maybe one of us. I guess I didn't look at it.
I heard it on a racing podcast, and that's what that now that I'm thinking about it. And he said they're going to add a ride, and again, because even he said the same thing. It's kind of ironic, second and third place. They've been traveling up and down the road together. Obviously, they've found some chemistry there, and whatever, and so they're gonna go make a run at it next year. The two of them.
That can only help things. I mean, they're like you said, second and third in the World of Outlaw points makes a lot more sense than Max Blair being out of a ride. I'm like, how's that happen? He had a hell of a year. I don't really understand that. So congrats to Tanner English, who we didn't know where he was going a couple weeks ago. So congrats on that ride.
Yeah. Speaking of rides, J.R. Smith in the news.
Team 22 Inc., right? I think he's 20 years old. Peyton Freeman, youngster from down in the deep south down there, going to be driving for J.R. Smith. Of course, Air Force Ashton Winger had that ride. A lot of speculation on why that ride disappeared. A lot of he said, she said, not really sure. But Peyton Freeman going to have himself a pretty good pocketbook behind him in 2023.
Yeah. Way Bam Dirt Kings.
Oh, do we give a donkey award here? I'm not really sure, right? Like, I had somebody ask me, is Bert going to be on? Bert's not on. I mean, I don't know what happened. So they had the finale for the Dirt Kings series was going to be in a couple weeks at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Well, they canceled that, right? So that's done. The season's done. Mississippi Thunder's done. Nick Anveling, congratulations, won another Dirt Kings championship, but I kind of wonder what happened there, right? I mean, I get it. You're getting into the end of October. Weather's probably not going to be great. Probably not a horrible idea to cancel it because even if they had cars, they probably have a hard time getting fans, that late in the year. So probably the best idea. I wanted to see some more racing because it's a great racetrack. But yeah, they canceled the season. Season's over. Nick Anveling, champion yet again. He's won all the championships in Dirt Kings but one, and that's only because he didn't follow it.
Yeah, he didn't follow it. Was it the COVID year, right? Or was it last year? Was it last year or was it the COVID year? COVID year? Oh, last year? Okay.
Or Justin Ritchie won one, right? Justin Ritchie won one. That would be the one I think that Nick lost. Okay. Because I think Nick won it last year.
Okay.
I'm not positive. We'll have to take a look.
Yeah. Well, congrats, Nick. Awesome. All right. So standings. Boy, Bert, he just keeps slowly that's what he's doing. That's why he couldn't be on the show. He's studying. I think he's
cheating. He's cheating.
He's running the math on this thing. It's like Fanball. What was the name of that movie?
He's an analytics guy.
Yeah, and analytics. Yeah, he's doing the analytics. So Bert kind of stretching on 12 behind. Ryan, you're 21 behind. You can kind of see on the grid here. Here's kind of our picks for this week. Like I said, it's getting a little thin.
Well, we're going to start picking go-kart races, drag racing, Hornets, whatever, right? Wing micros, right? We're going to pick the alphabet soup, right? At the Chili Bowl, the ED,
Yeah.
all that. I just need to have a chance. This week's also, not sure if Jeff told you, but it's actually quadruple points at this week's race. We got to do something. Just kidding. Not. So Bert looking to double up, go back to back. I don't know if we can make that happen.
Yeah, good for you, Bert. All right, so big week in racing. The Can-Am Clash Dirt Track World Championship. Castro Late Models are back on at 411 down in Tennessee. Woo Sprints kind of in the middle section of the country at I-80 and Lakeside in Kansas. What are you looking forward to the most?
I-80, because I feel like this is the last weekend there. Unless they sell it, unless somebody takes it over, right? I haven't heard of anybody bought it from the Kosiskis, but from what I understand, this is the final weekend of racing, at least promoted by Kosiskis at the I-80 Speedway in Nebraska. Doubleheader. They got World of Outlaws night 1, night number 2. They have another show with SLMR late models. I think it's on Dirt Race Central.
Oh, really?
Oh,
actually, I did see that on the yes, I believe it is. Yeah.
Okay. So we can check that out. The last dance, so to speak. Man, I hope somebody buys that place because Eagle shut down, right? There's not a lot of racetracks in that area, kind of a big, broad stretch. And you think the Kosiski name,
I know, right?
Steve and Joe, you think that name and what they did, what they meant to dirt track racing, and it's another chapter going to be coming to an end here. I don't know what the future holds, but as for right now, this is the final weekend of racing at the famed I-80 Speedway.
Oh, we're losing too many again. When do we lose East Bay? What, 2 years from now?
Sounds like it. So we got to get down there. I think this is. We need to break up February anyway, so gonna have to maybe get down to Tampa this year.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. Kind of a pretty low week this week. Of course, we got Tuesday night, which is, I'm not sure when this is getting posted or whatever. We got the Castro Flow Racing Night in America, but not a lot of racing. I'm going to knock on wood. I really hope they get it in over at the Gondikla Speedway. Not overly optimistic, but if they do, it's watch FYE.TV, Dirt Race Central. They'll have all the action, and that's a race you will not want to miss because it's the final points race of the WISSOTA season. There are still some points battles a little bit kind of deeper. I know Josh Berg is really trying to pass Chad Finkbone for second in the Pierce stock. I guess we'll find out, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. We should know in a day or two.
Yeah, and the sad thing is it's 72 up here tomorrow. Couldn't land on the weekend. It's going to land on 72 degrees tomorrow. So it's supposed to be. So I got my son's playoff soccer game. So I'll tell you what, speaking of the weather, like we just kind of looked back now, obviously approaching the middle of October, but I've been to a lot of cross country meets and a lot of soccer games with 4 kids. And for the most part, September's weather was beautiful. For most of my memories of this year, it was nice, sunny, no sleet. I haven't sat in sleet or wind, rain. It's been good. So gratitude, very grateful. All right. So that'll wrap it up for the week. We'd appreciate a sharing of this episode right now. That would be great. I was going to show you a decal. Decals are in. If you want to go show decal for the car, for the race car, for the anything, your ATV, UTV. We got the decals for $5. So get a hold of us on that. As always, thanks to our great sponsors, Dirt Track Supply, Brad Parsons, Soil and Ag Solutions, Chase Schmidt Real Estate, Sully's Race Engines, BuyRaceShirts.com, Impact Health Sharing, Dirt Race Central, and Mason Aaron's Videos. The One To Go Show at gmail.com if you want to message us something private. If you're interested in advertising, it'd be a good way to get a hold of us too. The One To Go Show at gmail.com. Otherwise, just, obviously feel free to comment. You can hit us up on Spotify, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, Rumble, and YouTube. For Ryan Ayo, I am Puka. Get out there and be your dream, your 2 and 2, The One To Go Show.